Hello, everyone. Today we're here with Angela Lee of Love is Respect. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be present. My name is Angela Lee. My pronouns are she, her, and they. And I am the director of Love is Respect. Love is Respect is a project of the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The National Domestic Violence Hotline was established in 1997. And in response to a national discourse about prevention, Love is Respect, which was originally called the National Dating Abuse Helpline, was created in 2007. And part of our initiative at Love is Respect, like our targeted audience is age 13 to 26, right? And we're just really, our services is here to make sure that, first of all, it's a dating abuse prevention and healthy relationship education program, right? And our services focus, like I said, on ages 13 to 26, but it also highlights the need in the dating violence prevention field. We empower young people through inclusive, equitable education. Our services are 24/7. Our advocates are there 365 days a year, and we provide support either via text, chat, or even phone. I lead the strategies and the implementation and the operations to ensure Love is Respect is the national resource to disrupt and prevent unhealthy relationships and intimate partner abuse. Because the sooner we intervene with education and resources, the sooner we can address this terrible epidemic that's happening in our world.
Thank you. And thank you for explaining some of those resources. I think that everyone knows instinctively that a healthy relationship is what you want to aspire for and what's great. But what are the reasons? Why is a healthy relationship good? And what does it look like and feel like?
That's a great question. So, relationships may be defined in different ways depending on who's involved, right? We like to use the gender neutral term partners, but healthy relationships all depend on certain key elements. What are those key elements? Equality, respect, trust, consent, because there's physical boundaries, there's sexual boundaries, healthy communication, trust. You can't have honesty without trust. And also is important, and boundaries, of course, but it's also important to understand that what each of those elements mean within a healthy relationship. So like communication, it should be free flowing, right? Clear, specific language that describes your wants and needs, leaving little questions about what you want and why. It may happen, but boundaries are yours to build. Young people need to understand that, even older adults. Check in with each other's needs, regularly because people can change their mind, and that's totally okay. Respect. I like to say love is respect, period. Appreciating your partner's viewpoints, their opinions, their beliefs, and more importantly, their decisions, right? Also, trust and honesty. I think that you can't have trust without honesty, right? But honesty without compassion is cruelty. So making sure that you're in a position to have this, sometimes we're going to have uncomfortable conversations, but make sure that maybe the setting is good, or maybe you need to step back from the conversation sometimes. But we have all that information on our website, loveisrespect.org. But I think it's important for everyone to understand, especially our young people, that abuse is always a choice, but everyone deserves to be respected, in a healthy and supportive and loving relationship.
Yeah. So what's the most important characteristic of a healthy relationship? You mentioned a few important characteristics. Do you feel like there's one that's the most important? And what skills and habits should I develop to make sure that I am healthy in my relationship?
Yeah. I personally believe that they're all important, but when I think back on my past experience as a teenager with unhealthy relationship, I would have to say trust is an important part of the foundation of every healthy relationship. Because when you talk about trust, honesty plays a part, communication plays a part, boundaries play a part. All of these key elements play a part. And I think it's important that both partners are consistent. Partners must keep their word, right? And promises in order to build and improve that trust. So I think a good example of that would be trust exercises. Can be a fun way, to build trust. Practice honesty and communication. And also it helps to bond with your partner. So a couple of trust exercises that maybe someone could try is like take turns exchanging secrets or facts about each other. And also remember, you don't have to feel pressured or forced to share any information you're uncomfortable with. And vice versa. Don't force your partner to do so too. You could talk for like 5 minutes about anything while the other partner stays quiet and just really listens, right? Active listening is so important because a lot of times communication can be interrupted by a person trying to be understood rather than being understanding. But again, we have some really good trust exercises. I don't want to take up too much of your time and go through all of them, but you can go on our website and just type in trust exercises in the search bar, and it should give you some more to try. But it's no cookie, it's not this one specific act that you need to do. It's just what feels comfortable for you, Lindsay, and make it fun. Young people don't want to be all stern. Gen Z don't want to be all stern. They want to really, enjoy helping themselves grow. So that's what I was saying.
Every relationship is not a cookie cutter relationship. So everything doesn't work the same with each relationship. Your relationship might be a little bit different than someone else's, and different types of exercises and trust will be implemented. So it really just depends.
Yeah. And a relationship, Lindsay, it exists on the spectrum. So it starts off healthy and it can end up abusive. But we want to address that middle, that unhealthy part before it gets to abusive, right? And that's where the warning signs, paying attention to the warning signs and addressing it so you can make healthy decisions that are good for you and your self-care.
So what are some media resources like books, videos, articles that would recommend to help young people understand what a healthy relationship looks like? So when I look at the TV and all the different television shows, there's not a lot of healthy relationships. Do you know of any resources where people can find these examples of healthy relationships?
Yeah, Lindsay, I would, and I'm not being biased, but Love is Respect website, they have different quizzes that you can take to determine if your relationship is healthy, find out the status of your situationship or relationship. Are you a good partner? Are you practicing self-care? Like I just talked about the relationship spectrum and many, many more, right? And all the quizzes are free to take. You can also contact our Love is Respect advocates, like I mentioned earlier. They're there 24/7. We have close to 7,000 resources, which include different books and different, articles that may be suggested depending on, what the situation is for that contact that's contacting us. Now, our secondary audience is older adults, right? I hate to use that word. My niece I'd be like, I'm not an older adult, but you know what I mean. Older adults, parents, educators, anyone who supports our young people, right? We created in partnership with the Allstate Foundation, a parent guide, and you can download it for free from our website. And it has scenarios and information on how to build better relationships and have meaningful conversations with youth that empowers them to have healthy and respectful relationships. So it's so much information out there. And it depends on, like populations on the margin. Like if you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, we would definitely provide some resources for Trevor Project, right? If you've been involved in, consent is a big key element to a healthy relationship. If there's been some type of sexual coercion or abuse even, we would probably send you to RAIN, and that's all capital letters. Also, Scarletine, I don't know if you've ever heard of that resource. It's like it's not like you can contact them, but they have like a ledger and different information. It's like a board, and you can go on there and read a lot of information. So there's a lot of helpful information. A lot of organizations are doing great work, and we're here not to, we want to get our people connected to the right resources depending on their situation, which is why it's so important to reach out to us so we can find out specifically what their needs are.
I've taken some of those quizzes. They're really cool. They really help you think about where you're doing in your life and how you are and where to go from
Right.
there, where you can improve. I mean, they're blunt and they're eye-opening. So sometimes
Yeah,
for some people taking them might be a little hard to, recognize within themselves that they might be causing the relationship to be less healthy than it could be by how they're acting.
exactly. And a lot of people who are choosing to cause harm or practice unhealthy behavior, they may not be aware. So we're here for everyone, but it's important, you can't just keep having the excuse and saying, I didn't know. It's too much information out there to say that. So, yeah.
So what are some of the warning signs of an unhealthy relationship or a relationship that's heading towards being unhealthy or abusive?
Great question, Lindsay. You got an hour because I can run with this one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Um, One thing we say over and over at Love is Respect, right? Love is respect, period. And everyone deserves that. Don't settle for anything less. Oftentimes, unhealthy relationships, it's focused on power and control, right? Many times, people who are choosing to cause harm or practice unhealthy behaviors, it's an attempt to gain how shall I say this, or maintain power and control in many forms, like checking your phone and all these different things. And I'll get to some of those examples, or saying you got to share your location. Abuse usually isn't isolated. It's forms, it's like a pattern of behaviors, right? Collectively, and it makes you question your self-worth. We can talk about gaslighting, pretending that I'm sure you've heard that term, Lindsay, not to understand or refusing to listen to your questions. You come out of it feeling like you're crazy. That was what I experienced. I was so grateful when I had a name to validate what I was going through. Love bombing, stalking, emotional abuse, like telling you what to wear or blaming you or your actions for certain things, or saying I'm just joking, but you're really hurting the other person's feelings, making you feel guilty, or calling you immature because you don't want to consent to certain sexual activities. Of course, sexual abuse, digital abuse, that's big because Gen Z grew up in the digital world. So a lot of things that are happening online, revenge porn, or be careful, like sharing things with your partners until that trust. That's why I say that trust is so important, because if the relationship doesn't work out and you've sent some explicit pictures, that may or may not work out for you. So it's getting to know the person. Those are just some examples that I would really highlight.
We hear a lot about setting boundaries in relationships is necessary for a healthy relationship. What are
Mhm.
boundaries in this respect and why are they necessary?
Mm. Well, boundaries are yours to build. Let me say that. But we hear a lot about setting boundaries, right? But boundaries show where one thing ends and another begins. Boundaries in a relationship are kind of like this. They can help keep each person, figure out where one person feels comfortable, or in short, boundaries help you define I guess, again, what you're comfortable with and how you would like to be treated by the other person. They apply to any kind of relationship, of course, you have, whether with a friend, a family member, or partner. But we specifically, we're the experts with intimate partner. So some examples of boundaries in a healthy relationship, Lindsay, include like respecting your partner's independence and the right to chill and kick it with other people. Passwords are private. You're not required to share them. Time apart, like I said, is healthy. Respecting like the physical and the sexual boundaries, getting consent every time. I think we know that setting and respecting boundaries is so essential to any and every relationship, but it's also important that partners feel like comfortable expressing their wants and goals and fears and limits. And that could change over time. So that's why it goes back, they all work hand in hand, goes back to the communication piece. So that means everyone feels comfortable communicating their needs without fear of retaliation or what another person will do in response.
So what would you say to people that are scared to tell their partners of their boundaries, that they're scared that if they express boundaries, they won't be wanted and won't have a partner? What advice would you give people when they have that mindset?
Yeah, that's very hard. And believe it or not, we hear that a lot from our contacts. There's so many intersections, peer pressure, you name it, right? I think the most important thing, and it goes back 3 years ago, we lead the efforts for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month every February. And I don't know if you know, our first theme, well, not a first theme, but 3 years ago, our theme was Know Your Worth. I think it's important for us to first understand that setting boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. And if a person is not willing to accept it, I'd rather that this person set their boundaries early before the relationship moves forward, and it can be even harder to get out of. But sometimes we have to use that fear as a motivator, right? We just have to say what we feel. You can reach out to Love is Respect. Advocates can help find the language that may make you feel comfortable. Sometimes you may, instead of verbally communicating, you may start off with a text message. So some people may be fear of how they're going to react or different things like that. So I think, again, there's no specific answer depending on the specific needs of the contact. And when they contact us and what they're battling with, they may have past trauma from setting boundaries and being honest. So it's a lot of different layers that we would have to really navigate. But the most important thing that we do at Love is Respect is make sure we're empowering young people to make the best decision for them.
So I have a few scenarios and hypothetical questions to ask you about what you would suggest people should do or what resources would be best for them. So my first one is if I leave my unhealthy or abusive relationship, will I ever find someone to love me? How do I know whether I had anything to do with causing problems in the relationship? And how do I make sure I don't fool myself either way?
Ooh. Wow, Lindsay. Okay. Let's just get straight to the point. I get it. Yeah. Of course you will love again. And the goal is to love healthy. But in the meantime, because just going back to my experience, I thought I was crazy. I thought I did something wrong. Like one incident, they just wanted we both were laying down watching TV and they wanted me to go get the towel. And I didn't. I say, you go get it. And man, that turned into a big emotional, verbal situation, right? But you have to take care of ourselves. We have to get to know ourselves first. We can't truly love someone until we truly love ourselves. I feel like we teach people how to treat us. It's okay to teach them. Establishing, it all goes back. You're going to hear me say the same thing. It's consistent. Establishing our own boundaries around self-care. Self-care is for everyone, and we always need it, right? But it's important to know that you deserve a healthy relationship. Your emotional well-being is worth it and essential to coping with any disappointments that we go through in life. But also, I think it's also important if you've only been in a toxic relationship, and you don't really have any examples. We hear a lot of times from contacts that they grew up in an environment where it was unhealthy. So, they didn't know, sometimes love is pain. They think that that's okay. Young people crave older adults to be examples for them. But I think that I would suggest, depending on the trauma or the disappointments or the emotional, because you can be a roller coaster, seek out counseling, talk to peers, find your people, reach out to Love is Respect, give yourself time to heal. But yes, I'm sorry, I think love is a beautiful thing. Yes, you will love again.
Okay, the next situation is if I've only ever been in toxic relationships, how do I learn to be in a healthy one? What actions do I take to ensure I support and maintain a healthy relationship?
Yeah, I was kind of about to touch on that before, but educating yourself, knowing your boundaries. Something may cross my boundaries and I may not be comfortable with it, but Lindsay, you may be perfectly fine with it. But if we're in a relationship, and I say that lightly, but if we're in a relationship and I say, this is something that I don't like, and compromise. if it doesn't change, if there continues to be a pattern and I'm feeling sad and hurt and putting on a mask and not really being the wonderful person that I am, then that's a problem, right? So we have to be aware of that. We have to understand that. But I think that the main thing, can you repeat that last scenario, girl? I was going everywhere.
Yeah. What actions do I take to ensure I support and maintain a healthy relationship if I've only ever been in toxic ones?
Yeah. So realize that you're not alone. It's never too late to get help. The steps is acknowledging that there's a problem. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, different things like that. Continue to set boundaries, and just know that communicating what you want and what you need and what you feel is important. It is okay to say that. You know what I'm saying? And you're the most important person in your life. Like, I have a obsession with young people, a healthy obsession. Let me say that, because they are our future. Please, a healthy obsession. Let me just say that out loud. But I mean, it's so important to set our young people up for success, Lindsay. You know that. That's why you're doing this work, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, it's just identifying and knowing. I can't want a healthy relationship if I'm practicing unhealthy behaviors. So first get us straight, and then we can, we usually attract who we are, or sometimes opposites attract. It's okay, whatever it is. But the boundary settings and being able to communicate without fear, stand in your truth, is the key, I think.
I feel like a lot of times healthy relationships are the more drama-free, calm ones. So if you're in a very tumultuous, up and down relationship, it's probably not the healthiest one.
Yeah,
in the majority of time.
You're absolutely right, Lindsay. You need a job with us? No, I'm just kidding. But let me just say this. I would be lying if I say there's not going to be disagreements. That's all a part of a relationship, right? Any type of relationship. But I think it's important, how do you respond, not react, right? How do you respond? So the education piece is not just for the person who's choosing to practice unhealthy behavior. The education piece is here as well for us to know if I'm practicing healthy behaviors as well. So yeah, but disagreements are going to happen. You just got to figure out what works. Sometimes I got to step back. Some people say count to 10. That didn't necessarily work for me, but that may work for other people. There's all kinds of different ideas, and we have a lot of them on our website that you can just check and see what works for them.
Yeah, I have one more scenario for you. People warned me not to date my current partner, and he or she is now abusive. I'm too embarrassed to admit to these people that they were right. What should I do?
Well, first of all, no one can make a choice for you, but our people, especially if we're close and we're sharing intimate conversations, sometimes other people can see what we can't see, right?
Well, you're in love, you want them to love you and you love them.
Oh my God. And it's like love is blind, right? Oh, they love me so much. Well, God, they keep calling you and asking you where you at. That's not healthy. But that's love, because people who are choosing to cause harm, or even abusive people, they're very charismatic in the beginning. But I think the main thing is, don't be so hard on yourself, be easy on yourself, and be sure to give yourself space to share your story when you're ready. One of the things that was very powerful for me was pain shared is pain lessened. I didn't know that it would happen years after I was involved in that, but it also made sense. But you can also normalize any feelings or abusive behaviors to deal with. And it's important to know that if everything was smooth sailing, Lindsay, we wouldn't learn anything. But if you want to really see your resilience, see your strength, like relationships build character. But we have to know the relationship with ourselves is the most important. That's just it. It's just the most important. No one deserves to be treated less than. No one deserves to be treated cruel. Abuse is a choice. So the sooner we intervene, like I said, with the unhealthy piece in the middle, then it won't have to go there. So Yeah, your friends love you. If you truly got people, your friends and your family members that care about you, they're gonna understand. They're gonna be there. You know, I had the same thing happen to me. They were like, "Get out." You ever seen that movie? Get out, run. But I couldn't. You know, I was stuck in my today I call it a fantasy, but it was real for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Love is Respect tries not to tell people what to do. We listen, make suggestions, ask the right questions, provide the right resources for that person to be able to make healthy decisions. But shame has no place in taking care of yourself. So just hold your head up. Because trust me, I remember my first relationship. And then when it didn't work out, I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can get through this. And then my second relationship, when it didn't work out, I was like, oh my God, I don't get through this. And then after the fifth time, I was like, girl, you've been getting through this. You know what I mean? So
We can do it. We can take it. We're strong humans. We
we
can
are.
we can get through life, and we can get through heartbreak and find someone who will treat us better.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important. And I'm not saying the pandemic is over, but that was hard. And one of the biggest power and control tools that are used by people who are choosing to cause harm is isolation. So if you're not around your people and all you're hearing is this person, and you're being a victim of gaslighting and love bombing and manipulation, all you have is that. So it's important to keep, even if you don't agree with what your friends or family or support is telling you, keeping them close and just saying, hey, I hear you. I respect that. Thank you for caring about me, or whatever. Stuff like that. So,
Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you want to add before we end?
no, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to be present and share space with you. Please know that Love is Respect is here, like I said, 24/7. We do lead efforts for our every February for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. We also have an amazing National Youth Council. So if you're interested in joining, go to our website. We may have information, or you can contact me directly at alead@thehotline.org. But no, that's it. I'm really grateful to share space with you all.
Thank you so much.